I think we're fixed now. Because I can actually see my voice on the thingy.
Yeah.
Presumably fixed. Let's not,
I see your guys' thingy going, and then I
curb
see
our
my thingy
enthusiasm.
going. So I am assuming it is picking up both thingies.
There
And
we go.
Marvelous just let me know. There we go. So I'm assuming that's meaning he can hear me and he can hear you. For once. We're a bit dumb, so let's talk about a dumb movie.
Well,
Chris?
I wouldn't call it dumb.
Yeah.
No, for those of you who are unaware, Captain Phillips is based on the true story of the titular Captain Phillips, who is the captain of the MV Maersk, Alabama cruise ship, or not cruise ship, cargo ship. That is
It's a really shitty
Cat-
cruise ship.
Where's Cruz?
it's only the crew, and all the people on the cruise are cargo. It's a cargo ship that is held up by Somali pirates, and to get the pirates off the ship, Captain Phillips takes them into a lifeboat and is then taken hostage. And you've probably heard the last part of the story, and I guess this is technically spoilers if you haven't heard, but Navy snipers take care of them.
Oh no!
I mean, this isn't that far off. I think this happened about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So you probably have heard of this news in at least some fashion. I remember one of the people I worked with in the state was a former Navy, and he had like a demotivational poster on his wall of this event. It was like Navy SEALs will get a clean shot through windows on moving water at 10 o'clock, or like at 2 in the morning, and will kill the shit out of you. And it was like on Easter, which honestly would have been like the best way for this movie to end. It ends on like a really depressing note, but it would have been great if like the snipers are walking away after just killing all of them, and one turns to the other and it's like, oh, happy Easter, and then like a guitar riff goes off and they walk into the distance and the sunrise goes up. That'd have been a fucking pimp.
Just puts on some aviator sunglasses as he says it.
Exactly. But yeah, that's that is what this movie is based on. Tom Hanks plays Captain Phillips, and we actually found out it is actually 4 actors from Somali play the band of Somali pirates who attack the ship. So you probably have not heard of any of these guys. So no real reason to name them off. And that's pretty much all the star power in this movie. There's not a whole lot of huge.
Well, you got
side
Tom Hanks, and you got the guy playing the military guy that you see.
We've got military man / presumably porn star Max Martini. He is in this movie as well as the Navy SEAL commander.
Yeah, that's not even like notable character actors in this thing. Outside of maybe one or two faces.
What they should have done is cast the lead pirate as Denzel Washington with Terry Crews, and this movie would have done a lot better.
I think the movie is actually doing relatively fine, and I
is.
think that putting Terry Crews in there might have probably put a different connotation on what people's expectations would
I
be.
would have saw this movie if Terry Crews was in it.
I know you wouldn't, because it would not change the fact that Tom
Hanks is in it. Yeah, you couldn't put Terry Crews in a Johnny Depp movie to get me to go see it.
Yeah,
there'd have to be a lot of Terry Cruises in that movie for me to go see it.
If Lone Ranger 2 comes out, which we know it won't, but like Terry Crews plays like
Tonto this time.
Yeah, well, no, he can't play Tonto because Johnny Depp still has to be in it, but he plays like Tonto's cousin, like Rombo or something like that, who's like equally put into like as like culturally insensitive a role as possible.
Can't you just be the villain?
No, he has to be. No, he has to be a character you're gonna like. So he has to be like the main. He has to be like a main character in this.
Oh,
He has
okay.
to be a hero. Because you can't hate Terry Crews.
No,
So you don't want to ever cast him.
because he's too goofy to hate.
Yeah.
Because even if he plays a bad guy, he's going to be so awesome you don't want him to die.
Well,
Yeah, he was like,
from your guys' review of the Lone Ranger, I think I would want the main character to die anyway.
What
so-
review from me did you get from that movie? I said like 3 words in that whole review, other than "I hate Johnny Depp."
It was not
Oh,
much of a
that
review
was
from
pretty.
me.
That was it.
It wasn't a review from him so much as it was an outright dismissal.
I hate that. There's not many movies that I actually went into already hating, and the first movie we ever did, that was it. That was the one I went into already hating.
Now, I have to
Let's
say
actually
something.
talk about this movie.
I have to say something in regards to Captain Phillips.
Okay.
Okay. For
looks-
most
looks-
actors,
He looks a lot like Tom Hanks, doesn't he?
it is considered a success when they manage to convince you that they are playing a character.
Oh, how'd I know you were going here?
For Tom Hanks, he is successful in playing characters who convince me that he is Tom Hanks. It does not matter what role he is in, outside of voicing Woody from Toy Story, because I couldn't see his face. Everything else he's in, I'm just constantly aware that the character on screen is Tom Hanks. And I think it's even more noticeable in this film because everyone else around him are are like people who have been kind of extras or this is their first time in movies. He's like the only star in this movie.
So all your focus goes on to Tom Hanks.
And you're just very aware. It doesn't help that he also has a really bad Massachusetts accent on him throughout most of the movie.
I'm glad I didn't see this then.
Yeah, I was gonna disagree with you on most things. I like Tom Hanks as an actor, but the accent was really atrocious. It was like, why are you talking like that, Tom? You don't have that accent.
I think he's doing it to put up the facade that he isn't Tom Hanks. Like maybe he's someone different. Maybe he's not Tom Hanks in this movie. But then it drops off too much for me to be like, nah, it's Tom Hanks still. I don't hate Tom Hanks. I thought his acting for the most part was fine. There's a pretty hilarious point though at the end of the movie where he like realizes it's okay.
Hold on. Are we going to even have a spoiler addition to this? Since
I
it is
think
a true story and people should know about what happens here.
I think it might be a bit redundant to have a spoiler portion in a movie based on a true story that happened like 4 years ago. But
I think.
all right, I guess I'll hold off on it. I'll have a very base spoiler for your review. This movie is pretty average as far as my tastes go. I was expecting this to be a lot more heavy-handed with the message of like, you're an American and you should feel guilty for having all these privileges and look what they have to do over there to survive.
Tyler was saying that, and that's what the trailers put off. That it's
trailers made me think that, oh my gosh, we're gonna get like this weird angle, like the Somalian pirates are just
they're just trying to survive or something.
Yeah, and that we should feel sorry even a little bit sorry for them. Not necessarily like that they're doing what they're doing is right or anything, but that we should feel sorry for them. It makes me feel like they're dumb. That they're just dumb.
Like if you were to look at this, it feels like this is a game of civilization, and America is in like the modern age with all the scientific shit, and fucking Somali is still back trying to fucking figure out navigation on boats. Like it just feels like that civilization that got really behind, lost a few wars, and has nothing. Anytime they try to go up against America, like they're so like they can't even comprehend what the Navy is going to do when they get there. They're just like, oh, okay, they got these big battleships. Well, we'll just keep fronting to these guys with our 4 dudes in a fucking life ship and a couple AK-47s. We'll still get $10 million out of this.
They're running at +1 gold per turn, and they've got no chance of getting any tech going.
And actually, when they invade the ship, it's almost like watching Home Alone, because Tom Hanks just runs circles around these guys. Like he just makes them look like absolute fools. I guess this is one thing I can't exactly stress how accurate this movie was in terms of getting all of its events correct, because I haven't read a tremendous amount into this.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I did find out, and I guess is very different, is that the main Somali pirate Muse is in this movie. He looks like he's about in his mid-20s or so, and I guess in real life he was actually only about 15 or 16. So,
wow, that's kind of a big difference.
Yeah, well, it also then puts into question the character of the other boy on the ship, the one who steps on the So, whose entire character is basically that he was a kid and he was too young for this. So, be curious on where all that goes. But it's it's one of those things. I'm like, if it really happened this way, it's just embarrassing. Like that you managed to even get like confounded by them at the end, because he's just like leading them around. He's like, well, we'll just head on into the kitchen, and oh no, one of my guys is in here. I can't let you find him, so I'll just distract you with plantains, or like just the stupidest stuff that everyone should be like, hold on, I'm gonna call you on this bluff because I have the gun and you don't. It's
Suddenly
so
you started talking more right now.
Yeah, it's
there's
just
something you don't want me to know.
It's just like, oh, I can't let that guard see me. I'll just drop a pipe over there, then run across when he's looking the other direction and sneak by before he ever comes back. Like they just
So they're doing Splinter Cell mechanics here.
It basically it feels like a
Splinter Cell
cartoon.
meets Home Alone.
Yeah, because there's a point where he's like,
With Tom Hanks.
well, yeah, we're in the kitchen, and oh, watch out, you're barefoot, so don't step on any broken glass. And they're like, oh, the dude's barefoot, so we'll put some broken glass inside the engine room door, so when he comes in, he'll step on him. Shocker, shocker, this is exactly what happens. But no, it's actually not as heavy with the overall message that I thought it was going to be. The trailers really painted that was going to be the point of the movie, and it's not exactly. And it actually does have suspense. It's a really long movie, though. There is a ridiculous amount of filler in this movie for no reason, and it is shot in one of the most disgusting ways possible, in that everything is shaky cam. Despite the fact there's absolutely no reason for it to be shaky cam. Like, on the lifeboat, it makes sense, because it kind of gets across that idea of being a cramped, very chaotic trip.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they still use that same shot when Tom Hanks is driving to the airport, or when they're inside, like, this big Navy cruiser. Like, there's no reason for shaky cam there, other than to be obnoxious and annoying.
Well, I can see shaky cam when they're doing like a frantic scene and shit like that. Other than that, nah.
If they're just sitting around talking on the ship, like, all right, well, Captain Phillips, the president
meant,
called. He wants Phillips back. Don't let him get to Somalia. And there's still like shaky cam going on.
It's meant to show the action of the waves inside the boats.
I don't even remember the shaky cam that much, so
it's all over. My eyes are kind of tuned towards it because I hate it severely. So
I'm very forgiving on very forgiving on shaky cam. I see its place. I understand where it's going. It's just when it's overused or used in a scene that doesn't make sense. I will call it out on it.
Again, it works great on the lifeboat. It makes sense. Everywhere else, or like during the action scenes, everywhere else though, it just feels like, why is this here?
Because they don't want to pay for a tripod.
I guess
it's an extra, $10,000 an hour.
It's just what are you gonna do?
So, final thoughts on this movie before we go into grades and spoilers. Anybody?
I said my piece.
Tyler, you want to say words?
it feels like a documentary more than an actual movie. It's just you've got better actors than a documentary, so it's just a little boring. And I'd say it's probably a C+.
I give this movie about a solid C. I was expecting it to be much worse, and I actually think there are people out there who are going to enjoy this. I suppose I'd say when I went to see this movie, we were about maybe like a quarter of the way filled, but I was the youngest person in the audience by about a good 20 years. So I definitely think
Grandpa went out on a movie date.
Yes, this is actually, I think, a great movie for like if you have like your parents or like grandparents and you're like they're talking about being bored or something like that. I think it's a movie a lot of adults will like. I think for someone like me who's kind of just like, yeah, I get it.
Show me tits and blood.
Well, Tom Hanks, he's very friendly to everybody. They like him.
That's why I don't like Tom Hanks.
They're like, I like him.
The guy doesn't
take
my stories. He doesn't take risks.
I like Tom.
I don't like Tom.
I like Tom as a person. I just don't care for him much as an actor.
I'll agree with that.
He just hits my nerve of like I'm just so aware you're Tom Hanks. And I don't know if it's directly his fault per se. I'm just always aware it's Tom Hanks.
You've seen him too many times, and that's all you can see now.
Yeah, something along those lines. I just can't ever like stop seeing Tom Hanks.
I just see old Forrest Gump.
Yeah, we see that as well.
All right, guys, let's head off into spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled for this true story based on true events, based on true things that ever happened, based on you should know everything that's already happened in this movie, get the fuck out now, and let's spoil the shit out of this. Guys, I think the pirates die.
Just a bit.
And I think Captain Phillips lives.
Yes, Captain
That's
Phillips
an amazing,
lives.
amazing ending.
This is the climax. That's actually the climax of the movie is when the 4 pirates get killed, or 3 pirates rather, because one actually survives. One is taken aboard the ship, presumably what he believes is for negotiations, and I think that was just so they could limit the amount of people they had to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just arrest him. That's Muse, the one who's the captain there. And I believe, according to the movie, he's serving a 33-year sentence in prison, and he'll be released.
Yeah, he's in Terre Haute, Indiana. Yep.
So, that's how the movie ends. And it's also right when the scene that kind of is like the only real point where I was like, ooh, Tom Hanks, that was a little rough, is he's at one point, he's basically got himself tied by the wrists up to the ceiling because they're tired of his bullshit, and they've blindfolded him, and it's that like a few moments after that is when they killed 3 pirates, and he's covered in blood, and he just pulled the blindfold down a little bit, and he's looking around, and he just starts like doing that like really awkward whiny screaming like oh like
yeah, like he'd just been shot in the shoulder or something.
It's one of those things you're like, I've seen people get across anguish, and he does actually a pretty good job, because a few minutes after that, he's basically getting treated, and he's in shock after what he's seen, and he actually got that across very well. I thought it's just when he's trying to vocalize like I've seen something horrible. It's just like ah.
What do we know? What rifles they used to take those shots?
No.
I don't. Hold on. Opened fire with 30 caliber SR 25 precision rifles.
Half their heads are gone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, he's covered in blood.
Yeah.
Well, they did show the one guy's head in the movie, so you would be very disappointed, Randy.
Well, this is.
I would be, or I wouldn't be.
You would be.
Still intact?
Yeah. Well, this is PG-13, so the amount of blood you get in this movie is pretty tame.
If you're gonna make it based on a true story, you might as well put the other parts in there. Where the
then-
guy's pretty much missing the top half of his head. The only thing that's there is his jaw.
But then
His
they wouldn't have
tongue
been able.
flapping out.
They wouldn't have been able to get all the elderly in, Randy.
Yeah,
I
but
don't want to see that movie rated R. There's probably naked women and shenanigans all over that film. That's what I presume old women say.
while
when they see a movie.
Grandpa's going, I'm going to this movie.
I'm taking a Viagra and I'm gonna see the shit out of Captain Phillips. And he gets there. He's like, this isn't sexy at all. There's one woman in this movie. She showed up 2.5 hours ago.
Wait, there's 3. There's 3.
Oh, good. Maybe one of these chicks will take their top off. No,
No,
they're
they
just
don't.
cutting Tom Hanks' top off. I hate America.
He's not even sexy.
Put that American Hustle trailer on again where someone's slapping that Amy Adams bottom again. That's a good-looking film.
Yeah, you said there was something you were going to bring up, but you didn't in the normal part of the review. What was that?
That was that right there where he gets strung up there. And
okay.
It was the only moment I thought his acting was just absolute. It was exquisite acting.
It was almost as questionable as his accent.
Yeah. Where otherwise, I think he's fine. This movie, the pirates for the most part are fine. There is one
I
guy.
expected them to be bad actors.
They're
Because
not.
I look at them, I'm actually glad that they were good. But I was expecting them to be horrible, just because you look at them and you know they're nobody you've ever seen before. I had a thought that they were actually from Somalia. They're actual actors from there, or at least people that have some
Somali-born.
talent.
I think they're Somali born and they live in the U.S. now.
Okay, well at least they look the part. They look the part, I think.
Oh yeah.
They didn't just grab like 4 black guys.
Yeah,
like,
4
all right,
Denzel Washingtons.
We
throw them in the
Somalis.
movie. So I was expecting them to be bad actors, and now hearing that they actually did a really good or a pretty good job, I'm happy for it.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I don't know what the extent of what they had to act was. It seems like I don't know if they actually had to learn the language for this.
hmm
But otherwise, I mean, they seemed fine. The only time I ever thought anything was a little off was I think it was the guy who played Bilal. His eyes got really big when he'd get angry, and it was a little bit like, hey, come on, dude, it's a little silly. This is a little silly, don't you think? But other than that, I thought they were all fine.
There was actually a point in was probably my favorite part of this movie was when Muse is actually fighting with one of the other Somali pirates, not one of the one of the three of his crew, but one of the other crews that they're basically working together to try to get this boat, and they have to pull back because of different reasons. The one crew pulls back thinking, because they get fooled that there's going to be Navy fighters coming in that are going to bomb them, and Muse and his crew have to pull back because their engine dies. So they retreat back to their main boat. They're talking to their boss, and Muse tells the other captain to give him his engine, and the other guy just basically makes fun of him, calls him skinny, and is like, "Why would I do that?" And Muse and then calls him a coward. So the guy starts talking big, pointing his gun at him, yelling at him, and Muse just as he walks closer to him, Muse grabs a wrench and beats the guy over the head and kills him. And everybody else on the boat just immediately calms down, stares at Muse, and just realizes that this guy is the unquestionable one to follow. He knows what he's doing. He's not a coward, and he's gonna get this boat. And that was by far my favorite scene in the whole movie.
That's one thing I was going to ask. What happens? Okay, you guys are talking about there's three of them on the boat on the lifeboat. One of them goes to the other ship.
There's four of them on the lifeboat, and then one goes on the ship. So three are left on the lifeboat after that.
That's what
Oh,
that's
okay,
what I was
yeah,
meaning.
sorry.
Yeah, three are on at the end of the movie. Three on the lifeboat, one are on the ship.
Yes.
What happens to the other? How many are there total?
There are four. Originally, there are 8. It starts off with 8. There's 2 different groups of 4. The one when because they attack the ship twice. The first time, one group gets scared off because Tom Hanks fakes having a conversation that Navy bombers are going to come in, and then the other group's motor fails. Then he kills the leader of the other group, Muse does, and the other 3 guys, I presume, are just like, well, the other boat can't go, and we're not going to jump on that's too many guys, so only those 4 guys go and attack the ship.
Okay.
They're unsuccessful in doing that, but they managed to get 30 grand out of the safe. Basically, it's just Captain Phillips trying to get them off the ship and get them out of there so everyone stays safe. And then they kidnap him and take him along when they get on the lifeboat. And their plan is to get to Somalia and then basically put him up for ransom for $10 million.
Yep. Okay. Just want to know what happened to the other guys.
Yeah, they just kind of fuck off.
They stay on the main boat, probably with the head boss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Roger. All right, guys. I think we've run down this movie. Unless there's any spoiler shit you want to get into, even though we only got into 2 spoiler things for this movie.
Well, the thing is that this is kind of a boring movie for me. So there's not a whole lot for me to be like, and then there's this part, and this part over here. I mean, there's some good points to it. There's a little bit here and there I like, and there's some good exchanges between Tom Hanks and the youngest member of the pirate crew, where he seems like he's actually, like, you're way too young to be doing this.
Sympathizing with him a little bit.
Yeah, he's supposed to be really the human element of this, where you're like, this is a kid who's way too young to be seeing this. Him and Muse are supposed to be the ones you're like, that's where you're supposed to feel sympathetic for the pirates, really, because they have no choice. This is all they can do. For these guys, it's actually like a big thing because this might be the best chance they ever have to make a lot of money in their lives. So, it's the closest thing they ever have to an American dream, even, you could say. But there's one part early in the movie, because you never actually see Captain Phillips' kids. He references them a lot. But the first real scene in the movie is him typing away on his computer, confirming his itinerary, and he grabs a picture of his family.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's in the car talking with his wife, and they're just talking about how they have, they're like the perfect fucking couple.
Yeah.
And then he like gets in and he puts the fucking photo down, and you're like, I get it, this guy is a fucking family. And then you see him on the bridge, and the motherfucker has a coffee mug with his fucking family's photo on it. You're like, I get it, he's a fucking family man. But one thing I did like, because the movie, he's in action, always referred to as being rather heroic, and the trailers make it out that way, definitely. But one thing, I think my dad followed the story a bit more than I did, because when I mentioned this, he's like, yeah, I thought I heard some of the crew of this movie were actually objecting to the way it was presented, because I guess Captain Phillips was a huge dick on the boat, actually. And if you actually see the movie, he actually comes across as a huge dick on the boat, which I was very glad about. Like, anytime he sees him in the break room, he's like, enjoying that coffee? Seems like you've been doing it for 15 minutes. I'm like, get fucking back to work, you fucking dick. He's like, you're right. My name is Richard.
Yeah, even like stuff that you wouldn't necessarily have a problem with. He just, the way he says things, like telling the co-captain or whatever, to check up on security, make sure everything's tightened down, that too many places are loose, and he's just such a dick about it. The way he says everything to people, he definitely was not winning any friends in the crew, and it comes off that way. So I'm not sure what they were complaining about as far as this, but he's not perfect for sure.
He did an interview on, or I think I saw it on a part of it on CBS This Morning or something like that, with Tom Hanks and shit like that, and the guy comes off like a dick. Like that he is amazing for this, and that he is like so amazed that this movie is even being made, and it's just, I don't know. You guys have to see that fucking interview. It's a little bit sad.
Let's see here. I'm pulling up some articles on it. The new Tom Hanks movie is getting rave reviews. Oh, go away. But also taking some heat. Captain, blah, blah, blah. The captain was taken hostage and later hailed as a hero. This is from CNN by Drew Griffin, by the way. Now some of the crew members are speaking out saying the movie gets it all wrong. As their captain was being lauded as a hero, the crew of the Maersk, Alabama watched and bit their tongues. No more. We vowed, quote, we were going to take it to our grave. We weren't going to say anything. Then we hear this PR stuff coming out and giving himself up, and he's still a hostage, and the whole crew is like, what? Because everybody is in shock. Blah, 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 blah. Hold on. Left out of the entire story, says Perry, is the captain's recklessness that steered the Maersk, Alabama into pirate-infested waters.
Yeah, that's what JD 355 is now saying in the chat room, that he was told to avoid the area, but ignored it and went in anyway.
Yeah, because it mentions in the movie at one point, the pirates are looking on a radar, and they're like, there's a whole herd of them right there, but we can't attack a herd. Oh, hey, but there's that one fucking ship all off on its own. And maybe it was that maybe, there was a normal, regular, safe travel route, and he went beyond outside of that.
Did any of his crew die?
No, nobody dies.
Okay.
Of the crew.
They mentioned early on in the movie they're going over the route, so so they just have the route plan and they just go with it. And then there's an email he's reading later on warning them about pirates and what sort of protocol he has to take in order to, in case of pirates. And then after they first get attacked and avoid them, the whole crew is asking, hey, let's go further away. And his whole thing was, if we run out there, we're going to run into other pirates. And if we do all this, we have a job to do. We have to get the cargo to where it's supposed to go as fast as possible. And if you don't like that, you can sign your papers to leave.
I would have signed and left.
Well, you weren't leaving that day. That's the thing.
Okay, hold on. I found a quote here that just really kind of captures it a little bit better. This is from Captain Phillips' quote. The media got everything wrong. I don't know how to control this. When I'm in the lifeboat and the media is saying I gave myself up for them. In the book, if you've read it. Have you read it? Said Captain Phillips' reporter. I did. I read it. No, so I didn't give it up. I was already a hostage by then, said Captain Phillips. And it's like that he brings up the book, like, you read the book, right? My book? Did you read my book? Yeah, it sounds like he's a little bit of an asshole, too, so I'm sure there's a little bit of glamorization paint make him a little bit.
He is going to rake this for all it's worth.
Sure,
know?
I mean I can understand if they made Captain Sully, the fucking Captain Sully Sullivan movie, I guarantee you'd be like, nah, and say I saved a couple babies down, like they were dying, I gave them mouth to mouth, and
No, I don't think he'd do that.
I would if I had been like if
Yeah,
I
I
did
see.
something
Yeah, you
wrong,
definitely would. I know
And-
you would.
Captain Hilarious.
Captain Larios.
I killed
How much
15
compared
pirates
to
too.
you?
Yeah, I stopped.
hand.
I stopped all piracy. There's no more pirates because of me. And someone's like, "Oh, there was a pirate attack last week." Bullshit, there was.
I wasn't there.
That was ninjas, not pirates. Get it right.
I saved everybody. Everybody ever.
I killed all the pirates, including the pirates that were my crew.
Yes,
Those
and
were-
all pirates who steal music too. All those pirates, I killed all them.
I stared the pirates to death. All right, yeah. Okay, so we can agree this movie was meh, and Captain Phillips is an asshole.
Yeah, it's better than what I thought it was going to be. And again, I think if your parents or some grandparents you have that may be interested in seeing it, I think it's
If you know old people, they want to see this movie.
yeah, I don't want to typecast old people per se, but yeah,
There were several older people in the theater.
if you're old as shit, you'll probably like this.
I don't know. The old people in front of me just kept making jokes the whole movie.
I wish those were the old people were at my fucking movie. I had old people like, oh, I had a woman crying at the end of the movie. I was
Really?
like, oh, come on.
Captain Phillips is so daring.
No,
He saw those poor Somali pirates die in front of him. It's like they also pistol whipped him. I mean, I'd have been kind of glad they were gone.
they especially found it funny at the very end of the movie when it says that he was on a ship the next year.
Just like, of course he was.
And everybody just sort of snickered at that.
God, my theater, everyone was like, oh, he's so brave. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm sure he was so brave. He was like, what, I get another paycheck?
Oh, you guys want to do a movie about me? You guys can't do that unless you guys give me $1 trillion.
Why don't you let me write a book first?
Yes.
Then you base it off my book that I wrote about my exploits.
Yes, and then you have to have me as cross promotion, so they have to pay me for this too. And I'll do interviews and shit like that. Make sure you get their name out there. I need to provide my kids private school, so please do this.
It might actually be a good plan, Misty. Maybe he was on a cruise ship after that. Who knows? He might not have been doing cargo in the Somali pirate waters anymore. Like, oh no, we're gonna fucking have you travel from, fucking Tampa to Key West. You poor motherfucker.
Cubans are getting on the boat. Look out.
That's racist.
Maybe.
All right, guys. That'll do it for Expo Dump this week. And next week we're going into what, Chris? What are we doing next week?
Next week is the escape plan with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Did we do Runner?
Oh, we weren't here the week of Runner. That was last week.
We didn't do a show last week.
No, we didn't do a show last week.
Oh, I forgot. I can't remember shit.
Yeah, sorry, we weren't here last week to do Runner. But Gav saw it and he was like, eh. So there's your quick expedition dump on Runner.
Okay, I couldn't remember. But this, guys, people for the show, this is the last time I'm going to appear on the show for the next 4 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes. I'm going to be away doing a bunch of shit. The show will still be aired. It'll be with Chris, Gavin, and Tyler will be taking my spot for the next few shows. I think.
I don't know if Gav will be here next week because I don't think Escape Plan's out for him. But we'll probably have other people in to fill in.
Chris has full reign to bring in whoever the fuck he wants for these.
I am excited for Escape Plan.
Every time I see a trailer for it, I'm just like, oof, it looks worse and worse the more I see it.
I'm just like,
Well, look at it. Who's in it? Who's in it?
I know.
Sylvester fucking Stallone.
I know.
And 95-year-old Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
Is Sylvester Stallone older?
no, they're both like
Hold on.
152.
Sylvester Stallone. I want to check this out. Sylvester Stallone is 67. Arnold Schwarzenegger
92.
is 66. So Sylvester Stallone is actually older.
so they're both getting AARP checks.
While doing this
duh.
movie.
But still, they're not in their 70s yet. I mean, think of fucking William Shatner, who's like, hold on, now what is he, like 88, 82? Fucking William Shatner is 82 years
I
old.
want to know if Steven or not Steven Seagal. If what's his nuts? Sylvester Stallone is still going to be doing these action movies in his 70s.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I mean, didn't he do a Rambo reboot? Or he was talking about doing one? I know he wanted to do one, but he wanted to wait until he found like what he considered to be like the next action star of our generation. I think he never did because like no one else is going to be as good as I am. I gotta keep doing it, you know.
Man, they keep paying me.
Love being paid.
It's going to just be really weird to see a 70-year-old man playing an action hero.
Well, he's got Grudge Match coming out later this year with Robert De Niro.
So we're going to see two old fat dudes hitting each other.
But I think that's part of the point of the movie.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to give as much shit as I would the Escape Plan.
Uh-huh.
But because they play off of it. When it comes to this movie, though,
yeah, this one they're like, no, Arnold's fucking Sylvester Stallone is a goddamn. He's in his prime.
Yeah, so yeah, Escape Plan next week. I think that'll be about it. Guys, I will see you in I'll see you guys in 2 minutes for the next show, but when it comes to everybody when it comes to this show, I'll see the chat room in 3 to 4 weeks. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
And to get the pirates off the ship, Captain Phillips takes them into a lifeboat and is then taken hostage. And you've probably heard the last part of the story, and I guess this is technically spoilers if you haven't heard, but Navy snipers take care of them.
Oh no!
I mean, this isn't that far off. I think this happened about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So you probably have heard of this news in at least some fashion. I remember one of the people I worked with in the state was a former Navy, and he had like a demotivational poster on his wall of this event. It was like Navy SEALs will get a clean shot through windows on moving water at 10 o'clock or like at 2 in the morning, and will kill the shit out of you. And it was like on Easter, which honestly would have been like the best way for this movie to end. It ends on like a really depressing note, but it would have been great if like the snipers are walking away after just killing all of them, and one turns to the other and it's like, oh, happy Easter. And then like a guitar riff goes off and they walk into the distance and the sunrise goes up. That'd have been a fucking pimp.
Just puts on some aviator sunglasses as he says it.
Exactly. But yeah, that's that is what this movie is based on. Tom Hanks plays Captain Phillips, and we actually found out it is actually 4 actors from Somalia play the band of Somali pirates who attack the ship. So you probably have not heard of any of these guys. So no real reason to name them off. And that's pretty much all the star power in this movie. There's not a whole lot of huge...
Well, you got Tom Hanks, and you got the guy playing the military guy. That you see
we've got military man / presumably porn star Max Martini. He is in this movie as well as the Navy SEAL commander.
Yeah, that's not even like notable character actors in this thing, outside of maybe 1 or 2 faces.
What they should have done is cast the lead pirate as Denzel Washington with Terry Crews, and this movie would have done a lot better.
I
think we're fixed now, because I can actually see my voice on the thingy.
Yeah.
Presumably fixed. Let's not,
I see your guys' thingy going, and then I see
Crowbar
my
enthusiasm.
thingy going. So I am assuming it is picking up both thingies. And
There we go.
Marvelous just let me know. There we go. So I'm assuming that's meaning he can hear me and he can hear you for once. We're a bit dumb, so let's talk about a dumb movie. Chris?
Well, I wouldn't call it dumb.
Yeah.
No, for those of you who are unaware, Captain Phillips is based on the true story of the titular Captain Phillips, who is the captain of the MV Maersk, Alabama cruise ship, or not cruise ship, cargo ship that is
It's a really shitty cruise ship.
Where's cruise?
really, it's only the crew and all the people on the cruise are cargo. It's a cargo ship that is held up by Somali pirates. He's actually doing relatively fine, and I think that putting Terry Crews in there might have probably put a different connotation on what people's expectations.
I would have saw this movie if Terry Crews was in it.
I know you wouldn't, because it would not change the fact that Tom
Hanks is in it. Yeah, you couldn't put Terry Crews in a Johnny Depp movie to get me to go see it.
Yeah,
there'd have to be a lot of Terry Cruises in that movie for me to go see it.
If Lone Ranger 2 comes out, which we know it won't, but like Terry Crews plays like
Tonto this time.
Yeah, well, no, he can't play Tonto because Johnny Depp still has to be in it, but he plays like Tonto's cousin, like Rombo or something like that, who's like equally put into like as like culturally insensitive of a role as possible.
Can't you just be the villain?
No, he has to be. No, he has to be a character you're gonna like. So he has to be like the main. He has to be like a main character in this. He has to be a hero. Because you can't hate Terry Crews.
No.
So you don't want to ever cast him.
Because he's too goofy to hate.
Yeah.
Because even if he plays a bad guy, he's going to be so awesome you don't want him to die.
Well,
Yeah,
from your guys' review of The Lone Ranger, I think I would want the main characters to die anyway.
What review from me did you get from that movie? I said like 3 words in that whole review, other than "I hate Johnny Depp."
It was not much.
That was pretty.
That was it.
It wasn't a review from him so much as it was an outright dismissal.
I hated that. There's not many movies that I actually went into already hating, and the first movie we ever did, that was it. That was the one I went into already hating.
Now, I have to.
Let's actually talk about this movie.
I have to say something on in regards to Captain Phillips.
Okay.
Okay. For most actors,
he looks a lot like Tom Hanks, doesn't he?
It is considered a success when they manage to convince you that they are playing a character.
Oh, how'd I know you were going here?
For Tom Hanks, he is successful in playing characters who convince me that he is Tom Hanks. It does not matter what